will be here before you know it, and my absolute favorite place in the summer is the beach. The other thing about the summer is there tend to be lots of summer birthdays. So Waffle Flower combined both beach themes and birthdays into one fabulous release. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in this video I'll be sharing several of the Waffle Flower new release items and creating some really fun beachy birthday cards. First, let's take a look at the supplies that I'll be working with today, and wait until you see the new Postage Collage stamps and stencils. First up, we have the Foam Stencil, which creates a background of water on an A2 card front. Next, we have the Wavy Borders Dies. As you can see, it goes way across an A2 card front, so you can create the look of waves or shoreline. Next, we have the Beach Umbrella Die-n-stencil. So this one stencil can be used for all three sizes of the dies to create a layered umbrella. This is the Postage Collage Beach Days stamps. You can see they are perfect for going along with the Postage Collage Beach Days stencil in that they fit in the A2 Postage Collage die, and the stencil lines up with that die as well. Here's the Beach Tote Sentiments stamps. This goes along perfectly with the Beach Tote die set. So those sentiments can fit on the beach tote, but there are also little accessories like 2 pairs of sunglasses, a pocket, and then you can create the look of a border around the handle and the bottom. There's also a die to cut out the towel stamp. This is the pocket slots die, perfect for birthday cards where you're giving a gift card. Now let's use those supplies to make some cards. I know how everyone loves those Postage Collage stamps and stencils and dies from Waffle Flower, so I wanted to start with that. I have an A2 piece of white cardstock, and I've placed it on my 8.5 by 8.5 grip mat from Waffle Flower. And then I placed the first of the layering stencils on top of that cardstock and press down on the sides so that everything stays in place. The cardstock and the stencil are both stuck down to the grip mat. Then I have my Waffle Flower ink pad holder on the side. That is the square one that perfectly holds my Distress Oxide ink pads. Those are the ink pads that I love using for layering stencils like this because they're so easy to blend and creamy. I decided to create some sea and sky and sand backgrounds. Now the stencil actually tells you what you're creating in those individual squares. So it makes it really easy to figure out what colors to use. Then you can see as we're building up, we have a seagull and some French fries and some beach umbrellas. It is just such a fun stencil set, perfect for the summer, and gets me really excited about going to the beach. Once all the stencils have been used and you have everything ink blended, you can place that Postage Collage die over top and cut it out. Then you can add the stamps in. And I love using black pigment ink over the Distress Oxide ink because it stands out so well. So I just stamped a few of the images. I stamped the $1 sign, and then there's a sentiment that says another year older, but you're still making waves. So I cut that into a really thin strip, and I'm using some Waffle Flower thin strip foam adhesive that pops that up. Next, I'll take that Foam Stencil and place it over an A2 piece of white cardstock. For the first side, I am using tumbled glass and a larger blending brush since I'm only using one color here. And then I'll take off the stencil, and you can see there's a lot of white areas left. So I flip the stencil around and have it upside down, and now I'll use salvaged patina. So I have 2 different colors of blue, and I have 2 different shapes of the seafoam. Now there's less white, and if you want to even tone that down, you can go back to the tumbled glass and just add a little bit on top, which I'll do later. But here I am popping up the whole Postage Collage, placing it on that seafoam background, and then I have the sentiment popped up at the bottom. This is such a fun birthday card, so easy to create. I love this set so much. For the next card, I'm creating with those Wavy Borders dies. Now I've created another seafoam background. Like I mentioned, I covered some of the white up, and now I cut the wavy borders out of craft cardstock. But we're going to go even beyond that. So I'm using some Versamark ink. I just have the ink pad and I'm smushing it all over on the craft cardstock. And I have some Hero Arts embossing powder that's called sand. Now, it really does look a lot like sand. So I'll just pour that right on top of that Versamark. It is a little bit larger than your typical embossing powder, so you definitely want a good coverage of your Versamark ink to make it stick. Once that's done, then heat set it, and it really does look and feel like sand. It has that coarse feel to it. Next, I'll take the Versamark ink pad and swipe along the edge of the wavy border that we cut out of this craft cardstock. I am making sure to cover basically just the edge of that border, going down a little bit, but not too far. This time I have Wow embossing powder and it's a puff white. So when you emboss it, it should puff up a little bit and look like the foam of a wave. So I just want to even out a couple of spots that look like they're harsh lines. I want everything to look very flowy, and then I'm going to heat set that. And basically, you have to be a little bit careful because if you hold the gun too close or if you hold it on too long, it will start to kind of smoke a little bit. I did that, but it looked fine when it came out, so all good. Now I have the umbrella die and stencil, and I've cut out an umbrella and I'm using the stencil to cover up basically half of that umbrella. So it's going to be a red and white umbrella. And I love the look of that on the background with the craft and with the light blue. I decided to go for one other smaller umbrella, so I used the smallest die, and now I'm using Squeeze Lemonade to color that in. And look at how cute that is. Now I have that piece of cardstock, craft cardstock that I didn't use. I will treat it with anti-static powder and then stamp it with Versamark ink and then pour some white, regular white heat embossing powder on top and then heat set that, and that will be my sentiment. Once that is all heat set and cooled, I'll wipe off the anti-static and then cut it into a sentiment strip. Next, I grabbed one of those pocket slots dies and I will place it on the top of the water background and hold it in place with some tape and run it through my die cut machine. And then I'll add the sand and the foam from the water on the bottom of the card. Then I'll pop up some of those umbrellas, and I have my sentiment, which was on just regular cardstock. I'll use a little bit of liquid adhesive behind that because it's going down onto those coarse embossing folder at the bottom. So I want to make sure it stays in place and stays stuck down there. And I think Tape Runner might struggle with that. I saw that one of the Waffle Flower designers used their candy dots from Waffle Flower to put the center of the umbrella, and I thought that was brilliant. So I did that as well. I have some cards from Waffle Flower. They are top folding cards. So I'm using that as my card base. I'll place the gift card inside the pocket, then flip over the panel, holding the card in place. Next, you want to use some type of adhesive, tape runner. You could pop it up if you wanted to. Basically, you want to go all around the gift card, just not touching the gift card or underneath the gift card. So that's why I'm holding it in place, because I want it to sit right there. I don't want it to go too much lower down where it's going to fall out the bottom of the card. So that's why I'm using all the tape runner to hold the card panel in place on the card base. I'm adding a little bit extra because I wanted to make sure that it doesn't go down too low where you can't really see that there is a gift card in there. And then I'll place that down on the card base. Once that's done, then I can just slide the gift card into the pocket and it will stay there. It won't fall out the bottom or the side. And I love this birthday card. I think it's so much fun to create, but I wanted to add one more thing, which is those die cuts that you can get from Waffle Flower that have sentiments on them. I thought Relax and Enjoy was perfect for this birthday card. So this was a fun one to create between the sand and the water and the gift card and the umbrellas. Just so many things going on, but really was so simple. Next, I'll use the beach tote dies, and I've cut out the beach tote out of a color of cardstock that looks like canvas. I'm cutting the sort of handle and the bottom out of a gingham that I got from the Waffle Flower 4¼ by 5½ inch pattern paper that they have. It's so cool because there's no waste and you can use it for die cutting or you can use it as a panel. And then I'll use a little bit of liquid adhesive to hold these in place. And now there are those faux stitch lines at the bottom and then around the handle. So it really does look like the cutest tote bag. I cut the rectangle out of that same canvas look of cardstock because it's a pocket, and I've cut these heart sunglasses out of red and then out of a shiny black cardstock. So the lenses will be that shiny black and then the frames will be the red. To place them inside the pocket and figure out exactly where everything's going to go, I'm just holding the pocket in place, held the glasses in place, and adhered down one of the lenses. Then I can adhere down the frames around it, adhere the other lens, and then the pocket on top. So it looks like those sunglasses are tucked into the pocket. I use the sunglasses again to cut out those hearts, and I'm doubling up some of that red gingham and placing it right on the pocket. Next, I have the stamp set from that Beach Tote Sentiments set, and I'm stamping the towel in several different colors of ink because I want it to be a multicolor striped towel. The great thing to do with something like this is to have some ink cubes. If you have ink cubes available, or if that's how you have your ink available to you, ink cubes work perfectly here because you can get the ink just on one stripe. Then I'll line up the die, hold it in place, and isn't that cute? It looks like it's a towel rolled up. So I decided to use the Wavy Borders Die to create a multicolor background. So I have 3 different colors of light blue, and I've placed them on top of each other on top of an A2 piece of white cardstock, so it looks like a really fun wavy background. Then to figure out exactly where the towel should go, I'm placing it behind the tote bag and adhering it down behind the tote bag and then adhering the tote bag down on top of that. For the sentiment, I grabbed a stamp from the Postage Collage Beach Days stamp set. It says Happy Birthday Girlfriend, and then I also grabbed a stamp that has 3 little seagulls. I'll stamp that at the top where the cardstock is white. I placed one of the pocket slots dies onto the sort of top of the wave, the last wave there, and I'll hold that in place with some tape and run it through your die cut machine. For that, I had so much cardstock there, I did run it through twice. Then I'll pop up the whole beach tote that has the towel adhered behind it. And again, I don't want this card to slip out. So I'll do the exact same process that I did last time. I'll figure out exactly how high I want it on the front, and then I'll flip it over, hold that card in place, and then place tape runner all around the gift card, but not touching it. So it will slide in and out, but it won't slide down to the bottom and it won't slide on the sides as well. So plenty of tape runner here to really make sure it stays in place. Then flip it back over, and you can take the card out while you're adhering it down so you don't have to worry about it slipping behind while you're messing with the adhesive, and then just slide that card into the pocket. And I just love this because it looks like that gift card is in the tote bag as well. Super cute, so much fun to create, and there are other accessories that you could use with that set too. For this card, I started with one of the stamps from the Postage Collage Beach Days stamp set and stamped it in several colors, and that's that little floaty device. And then I have the beach umbrella stencil once again. I am not using my 8½ by 8½ grip mat because it needed to be cleaned and I was lazy and didn't feel like cleaning it right at this moment. So I grabbed one of my smaller grip mats from Waffle Flower, and that's why I have the cardstock down sort of horizontally and then the stencil taped in place on top. So if you only have a smaller grip mat, this is one way you could make that work. And the reason that I'm still holding the stencil in place here is because the way that it is cut out in the center I think it makes the best stenciled impression if you kind of hold it down while you're stenciling. I had some where I was not holding it in place and I was getting some ink underneath the stencil, but I got a much crisper impression when I held it in place. So now I will use all of the sizes of the dies to cut out each of those umbrellas. I'm using an older Happy Birthday stamp set from Waffle Flower. I'll link it down below. It is still available and it is a fabulous set with script and straight fonts. And then I cut the whole panel down to 4 by 5 1/4 so I could mat that on white cardstock. So I have that Foam Stencil. I created another sandy beach because I love creating sandy beaches now. This is going to be something that's going to be in a lot of cards. And then I popped up the umbrella on the sandy beach. I have 2 of the little floaties out in the water and one that has washed ashore here. So those are kind of like little embellishments. And then again, the candy dot as that center of the umbrella. For this gift card, I'll place it on the inside. So I'm cutting out a different style of the pocket dies and placing my gift card right inside from the back so that the top and the bottom show and then there's nothing on the pocket. You could put something on there like a sentiment or an inside sentiment if you want. Once again, flip it over and put tape runner all around it so that it doesn't fall off or fall out of the card at all. Once that's done, I'm going to open up my card base and place this right inside. And then I place the panel right on top. So now I have this fun panel on the outside, and when you open up the card, it has the gift card on the inside. Like I said, you could put an inside sentiment on that panel pocket in the center, and that would look great too. As I mentioned at the top, the beach is my favorite place to be in the summer, and I was so excited to see this release combine the beach with the birthday theme because I always need lots of fun birthday cards. I'd love to hear if something caught your eye today. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. One more time. And stamps. Okay, one more time because that was like super slow.